don't know what we're doing.
You know what we're doing. You know what we're doing. We're talking about wrestling.
Yeah,
Hello, welcome back to
that
the
is what we
TGP Red.
sign up for.
Let me do the intro. You're actually making me have to edit, and I don't like that.
No. This
don't,
keeps in. This stays in, bro.
don't, don't make me edit.
Adam, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about whether or not wrestling has a point of simplicity to it still, or wrestling fans nowadays just want wrestling to be UFC scripted. Because I am sick and tired of the IWC. And I know that technically, if we're getting technical, we are part of it, but I don't think we are. I don't identify as that. I don't know about you, Kyle. I don't know what burner account you've got on Twitter calling out wrestlers, right? But I don't identify with that.
There's no way this is what it's about.
Yep, this is what we're talking about today.
So, our entire demographic as a listener base is who you're going to beef with for the next 20 minutes.
Yep.
Cool, I'm glad we got that sorted. So, what's
Not
your
many
problem
people.
with the IWC?
Not many people are brave enough to do that, Kyle.
Not many people are stupid enough to do that, but
Hey, I've been called
bravery and
worse.
stupidity. That is what they call Adam, TGP host.
Before we get into today's episode, we need to talk about today's sponsor. Kyle got a new sponsor today. Trip had no interest in sponsoring the podcast. We were too incoherent for them, according to their lawyers. So we have reached out to a different sponsor today. And this sponsor will be providing my wrestling coffee today. Right? Now you see, look, it's in line with what we do. Kyle was impressed with my professionalism. This episode is sponsored by rods. I've got a rod. And it is.
I also have a rod.
It is original oat latte. No dairy. No dairy at all. For all of you non-dairy people out there. Lactose intolerance is what I was looking for, but I forgot. No added sugar. No added sugar. 41 milligrams of caffeine. I'm going to pour this right now into my mug. I actually had a iced latte mug, but I'm not sure where it's got to, so it's just in my normal Stooky mug. Cheers to wrestling coffee, Kyle. I don't know where my wrestling coffee mug is. It's downstairs, I think.
Cheers. I mean, are you wearing a wrestling coffee? There we go.
I've got the jumper on.
TGP Wrestling, hey.
Right, let's get started after that fantastic sponsoring segue.
Yeah, because
now
just
look,
teasing everyone with I'm gonna roast you in 2 minutes time if you listen to the fake sponsor is a real great way to keep that retention up.
look, Kyle, right? It's not necessarily the IWC directly that I want to roast here, but it sort of is. Look, the example I'm going to use, Danhausen debuted not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, right? I watched that and I thought, oh, cool, right? I want to see what I'm interested to see what WWE do with Danhausen because AEW kind of just stopped using him on TV. He was really popular. He sold loads of merch, but they had nothing to do with him. Fine, right? So WWE have got an opportunity. They bring him in. Is he going to be Akira Tozawa or R-Truth, or is he going to be someone that is still comedic, still interesting to watch, but also kind of he also gives energy of like I can do something in WWE because I'm going to be popular, right? Instantly, the crowd hate it. So it's I sat there going, I don't understand why the crowd hate it, but hey, how many times have a crowd been really mild for stuff that we've enjoyed? Right, happens all the time. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I then go on social media and I see people saying like they're disappointed it's Danhausen, he's not a big enough name to have been this what's in the box character, all this sort of stuff. Then I see people saying they would rather have been Chris Jericho. I can't get on board with this. I've been on record saying I love Chris Jericho. But the man's like nearly 60 years old. What do you want? Why are you so desperate for Chris Jericho to come back in a way where why would he be in a box? In what world would that fit his character to just come back in a box, right? It doesn't make any sense. So Danhausen debuting in that way was great. It was in Chicago, right? Maybe they thought, okay, this would be great, right? You know, it didn't work that way. I know he's friends with CM Punk, and then maybe people that say, oh, that's why I was in Chicago, right? But whatever, right? I think it was fine. And I think since he's debuted, they've done a great job. And now the internet span it on its head. Now the internet are like, oh, Danhausen, he's pretty great, he's pretty funny and stuff. And they backtracked. And his shirt is one of the fastest selling shirts for a long time for WWE. So maybe, just maybe, give people a chance rather than absolutely crapping all over their debut straight away. That's all I've got to say. Kyle, thoughts on what I've just said or what I've just ranted?
Well, I feel like, ironically, seeing as I was very anti IWC when we were doing the Monday Scramble, I feel like I have to play devil's advocate because that's just how good podcasts work. Um, do you not just think this is an internet thing? Like it's hyper reactionary. It can't just be, oh, Bill, wait to see what it is. It's I've got to get my crazy opinion out right now so that people engage with my crazy opinion.
I kind of think that is basically the description of TikTok as an app, right? But I also think that it's worse in the wrestling industry, right? I also think that wrestling fans have got this sense of entitlement that they deserve more. And I think that that bothers me a lot. You see people online say, "Oh, Triple H is doing an awful job. He's doing this." I've been really critical of Triple H, right, on our podcast. I think he's doing a very average job. I think he's doing an okay job, and I think his ego makes it all about him sometimes when it is actually mostly just about the product. See Shawn Michaels in NXT for how to do it properly and how to actually care and book wrestling in the modern world, right? So I don't love what Triple H does all the time, but I also think that your opinion about, oh, well, this isn't very good, or oh, I don't like this person, or this is terrible. How many times has that turned around in wrestling? Everyone hated Roman Reigns. He'll go down as one of the greatest of all time. Everybody hated Dominic Mysterio when he was a babyface and stuff. And most people did, fine, right, whatever. But it was a nepo baby. He's got no chance of making it in the WWE. He's got no chance of being a professional wrestler because oh his dad got him here and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Dominic now is more compelling than Rey Mysterio has ever been. Shoot me, right? I don't care. I care more about Dom now than I've ever cared about Rey Mysterio. So maybe let things sort of pan out. Don't be so reactionary. And that may be a bit of advice about life. But I think more to wrestling fans, it's when someone comes in, give them a chance. Because what they've been in a different company doesn't mean that they're going to be that in WWE. Danhausen sort of they lost what to do with him, but then they've now created something more out of him, right? They've brought him in and people seem to really like him. So maybe, just maybe, if you give people a chance and don't think, oh, I need to shit all over this as soon as it happens, maybe you'll get somewhere with being a wrestling fan. Because honestly, one of the worst parts about wrestling at the minute is that it's just so unbelievably toxic online, and there seems to be no positivity when it comes to the product anymore. And I just think it's insanely harsh. Oh, it's like therapy. It's wrestling
Are
therapy,
you
Carl.
adding any positivity to this to this community right now?
I suppose my positivity is be positive. Don't shit all over everything because you think that you've got some divine right to this amazing product. People,
Old man yapping at clouds, bro. Like that's actually the fucking take I'm hearing right now.
but it seems
And
to
look,
be like, oh, wrestling was better in my day. It's just shit now. Which I know people say about everything, right? People say it about football. You can't judge players nowadays because they're not as good as players used to be, or whatever, right? I get that it's everything, but it's just like a special kind of like extra for wrestling fans, and it pisses me off.
okay, here's my beef with internet takes on wrestling. Because I'm not gonna say it's my beef with the IWC because I've come to realize post Monday Scramble that I don't actually have any beef with the IWC. I have beef with just most social media platforms in general, and the IWC is just really good at showing why I've got beef with it. And it's the fact that something happens, like you say, Danhausen comes out, the crowd in the arena don't really know who it is or aren't that bothered. They expected Jericho, they're a bit disappointed. And then online, it's like, let's dogpile it, because it's objectively wrong, and it's objectively bad. That's what I don't like. Is people thinking they can put objectivity on the quality of this product when realistically, especially with like things like Danhausen, it's subjective. It's comedy, which is maybe the most like subjective thing on earth when it comes to media we consume. So can you really be like, oh, this is like the worst thing they've ever done? Not really. You can just say you don't like it. I think that's valid. If someone says I don't like the what they did with Danhausen, I'd just be like, "Aye, cool, like fine, I did, but like you're entitled to your opinion." It's this dogpiling mentality that my beef is with, which is why I don't like social media because it's not. I don't think it's a wrestling thing. I think it's it just feels more annoying with wrestling because at least when people are dogpiling like politics or sports games, and they can be like, oh, like I think the decision to do a I'm gonna use the worst analogy ever. I think the decision to make this a 4-2-3-1 was stupid and lost them the game basically before they even went out. At least there's some like factual, probably evidence supporting that. But with wrestling, like, bro, it's entertainment media. You can dislike what Triple H is doing, but it's not objectively like wrong or bad. He's just doing something weird, and you can just be like, I don't like that shit.
There's a lot that people don't like about wrestling, and I agree with you that I don't have an issue with you disliking something. I don't have an issue that you hated that they took the belt off Drew, right, and put it back on Cody, right? I don't have an issue with the fact that you disliked that. I understood why you disliked it. But even if I didn't understand it, it would still just be your opinion, right? Your opinion isn't right. My opinion isn't right. Coincidentally, they took the belt off Drew because apparently he's filming a film for like 3 months after Mania, so they wanted to get the belt off him.
Yeah.
One of the most dumbass reasons you're ever going to hear, by the way, considering that he could have just lost it at Mania to like somebody else, but fine. But look, it's. I think you raise a good point that I think it is just the internet. It's not necessarily just wrestling fans. It's just for me, I someone that has like Twitter and that for American football or for Formula One or whatever it might be. So sees multiple communities with the possibility to be toxic and to be frustrated and to be very angry about stuff. The one that is the worst by a lot is wrestling. A lot.
Mm.
And it's maybe because of the subjectivity of wrestling, right? When you got to football, if a wrong decision's made, most people agree with you because wrong decisions are obvious. It's the same with any sport, really. Or if a team makes a bad strategy in F1, everybody agrees most of the time. So you're not really being like diversive by saying, "Oh, this is something that went wrong." Whereas with wrestling, every opinion you have could be wrong. I don't think there's many original opinions about wrestling anymore because I think that most people just jump on the bandwagon of this is terrible, this is terrible. And I think a lot of the time now, I think it's probably something you would agree with, is that the wrestling community are trying to just beat Triple H with a stick. So anything that might go remotely wrong in their eyes, or whenever something like flops a little bit in their eyes, it's see, I told you Triple H is awful. When it's like, yeah, he does a lot of things wrong. He does a lot of things right. Name me a wrestling promoter in the world that does everything right. Because there literally isn't one. They've all made mistakes. Every single wrestling promoter you can think have all made mistakes. Literally all of them. So maybe let's just all calm down a little bit. It seems like I'm actually getting more annoyed at the IWC than the IWC are about wrestling, but I promise you that's not the case, right? They are getting more annoyed than we are. And as a podcast for wrestling, of course, we would be, I say we, I'm going to say me here because this was my idea to talk about. Kyle absolutely was not on board with the idea of this podcast. But we as a podcast are part of the internet wrestling community. So I suppose we have to sort of say, oh, well, our show is part of it. So we're adding to the problems of discourse, but I don't think we are. I think I'm just trying to be positive about wrestling and say if you want to enjoy a product, enjoy it. If you don't like something, that's fine. If you want to watch AW or WWE or Ring of Honor, I don't care what you want to do. Just enjoy it for what it is and calm down. Other than that, other than like Daniel Bryan, because he's just a piece of shit.
Well,
That's not even objective. That's just fact.
so here's the thing. Like you said, the wrestling community do seem to be even more extreme than some other ones with this whole they bandwagon on opinions. The current one being Triple H's shit. And again, I would argue it's an internet thing. The subjectivity of wrestling means that a lot of people, when they go onto the internet, will see the first opinion and they'll be like, well, I want to feel like I'm right, so I'll just agree with it, like, fuck it. But that's what makes us podcasters different, you know. We don't just bandwagon, we have to illustrate our opinion. We have to explain the reasons why we feel the way we feel. And that's what's
Yeah,
missing behind the engagement bait social media platforms. And not just wrestling, in all things. That's why I hate social media, to be honest with you. It's engagement bait. The opinion might not even be that like substantial, or I might not even disagree with it, but it's so simplified and condensed into how can we make it sound as engagement baity as possible, like Triple H is dog shit, but no explanation. It's just like something happened that I didn't like. Triple H is dog shit, rather than why didn't I like this thing that happened? Like us explaining why we wouldn't want Drew to lose on a random SmackDown to Cody Rhodes. Here's an explanation: because Cody just lost at Chamber, and now he's somehow gained the title quicker than he would have even gained the title if he won at Chamber. You're rewarding someone who has lost.
yeah.
It's like it's a stupid booking decision. But we can explain that rather than just being like Triple H is dog shit.
But that's kind of the issue in itself, isn't it? Is that people are very quick to send a tweet that says this is awful, this is terrible, without actually considering thinking about it. And look, we're not perfect, right? We've been reactive on this podcast. We've sent out tweets that are just like, oh, I didn't like that last thing that we've just seen on TV, right?
Excuse me, I've never done that.
Uh, Kyle has got the login for our Twitter page. That's all I'm going to say.
I do not. Not a single one of those tweets was me.
It's so easy to say that. Hiding behind anonymity. It's very easy, Carl. Very easy.
It's you and Finn.
It's actually not me at all. It's Finn. But still,
That makes sense.
look,
That makes sense.
but look, right. I'm not here hounding people for having opinions. I'm not here hounding people for just saying I don't like that and that being it. But the problem with wrestling is that that's kind of not it. There's lots of reasons why things happen in wrestling, and you might not always understand it. You might sometimes think, well, that decision that Triple H just made doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. Why would he book that? And then like 3 months later, you're like, actually, that was the right thing to do, because that's kind of how wrestling works. It's a unique product in itself with that. But something that people seem to not understand about wrestling, it's the same as any other television show. You might watch something in a TV show that you're watching, a sitcom that you like, a soap that you like, right? And go, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. And in a couple of months' time, it explains itself because it did always make sense. It's just that at the time, it was meant to be annoying. It was meant to frustrate you. How many times in a TV show have they killed off your favorite character, or have they like broke a couple up in a show, and you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
really
like
like that
Game of
couple.
Thrones season 7 and 8. Like those ended up great. I don't know why everyone was angry about that. Those are like the perfect endings to any show I've ever seen. So my issue is we throw around wrong and right with wrestling when we talk about it. We're moving on from the Game of Thrones. I hope people understood the irony. Um, we throw out wrong and right decision. Like this was the wrong one or this was the right one. We don't talk about why we do or don't like something, and that's the thing. That's why I was saying before. It's objectivity versus subjectivity. I try. Look, I'm not perfect at it. I try when we talk about stuff to just voice my opinion rather than try to voice whether something is right or wrong. Because, like you said, we don't know the full picture. We can only deconstruct with the information that we have got. So we can deconstruct why we don't like Drew losing. But again, we don't know the full picture. Maybe he had to lose. You know, maybe he probably didn't, but we don't know.
I mean, he had to lose eventually because he was going to go film a film and he can't be off TV for 3 months, right? So he did have to. He did have to lose at some point. It's just we question the timing of it. However, if Cody loses the title at WrestleMania, and the idea was we're going to get the title off Cody because title on Cody, so we can get it off Cody and put it on somebody else, and Cody's a
So like
transitional
Randy.
champion. Yeah, right. If that happens, I don't think people are going to be complaining that much anymore. They'll probably be like, you know what? Yeah, it felt like the wrong decision at the time, and maybe it was, but I'm happy now because I got what I wanted in the end.
Yeah, it's a very unorthodox way of writing a story where Randy goes into Mania as the clear favorite as a fan and as like a odds for the betters out there. Um,
Not us.
it's unorthodox to do it that way. Yeah, we don't bet. Other than
Nah.
1xBet, our sponsor for today's episode.
Who the hell are 1xBet?
1xBet. You've never seen 1xBet? This guy, he's uncultured. Um,
Apparently so.
yeah, like that's what's good about actually like talking about it is that we don't like Drew losing, but even before we've just gone, this is wrong. We've also looked at the possibilities that there might be positives in it. Like Triple H, crazy idea, might have done something right in terms of if you're gonna make Drew lose anyway, maybe this could at least make Randy's reign post Mania, if he does win, into something really exciting because he's gonna beat Cody, and we're all a bit pissed off with Cody. So it's like, yeah, it's weird, but it works.
But then again, people know everything nowadays in wrestling, right? So people know that Drew's going away to film something. So they know that he's
Yeah.
not going to be here post Mania. So if it was Drew versus Cody 1-on-1 at WrestleMania, no one would care, would they? Because everybody would just be like, well, I don't,
Yeah,
don't
and that is
I don't care about
genuinely
this.
a possibility because Triple H does love his weird shit. He loves things being a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah.
So I can
So you could
imagine
look.
the idea of him knowing that people are going to get the info, it's going to leak, and everyone's going to know Cody's going to win at Mania. I can imagine that didn't sit right with him.
So he decides best thing for me to do right now is to put the belt on Cody going into Mania and set it up that anybody can win the match other than Drew.
Mm.
So we you see what we've done there, Kyle? Did you notice? We rationalise something that we don't like because maybe we assume that there's something greater going on than just what's on the surface. Did you see what we did there? It's almost like it's actually really easy to be a reasonable person. And you don't have to crash
Right,
out
you're
online
pissing
because your
off
favourite
every
wrestler
single
lost.
listener.
But that's fine because I want our listeners to listen to us and say, do you know what? Even if I don't agree with them, they're at least objective. They're at least looking at this and going, do you know what? These guys are okay, right? They're okay. These guys know.
We're
And if they're
trying
doing that,
to look at everything in the grey area rather than everything being black and white.
because it's not. Because wrestling as a product can't be black and white because it can't. But
Like we said
Kyle,
earlier, it's not like a football game where they've obviously played the wrong strategies, and in hindsight we can read that and be like, well, "That's stupid." It's wrestling. Some guy books this, and you all know which guy books it.
you might watch. There's so many things that you're going to watch in life, and if you compare wrestling to sport, I think you've already done the wrong thing because it isn't. It's entertainment. Not so that these people that do it aren't, you know, some of the fittest people on planet Earth, and they deserve all of the physical, like, positives for this because of course they do. What they do is impressive. It's amazing, but it's entertainment. I think this is the problem that we have. People treat wrestling and entertainment as sport. It is not sport, so you don't need to treat it as such. And if you don't treat it as sport, you might start enjoying it a little bit more. So my message, if I have any message from this episode, Kyle, is maybe let's all just calm down a bit. Maybe let's just all calm down just a little bit. Yeah, what do you reckon?
Yeah. My main takeaway is Danhausen's pretty cool.
I fucking love Danhausen.
He's
That
pretty
boy's
cool.
shirt.
To me, at least.
All I'm going to say, Kyle, is that I'm not cursed and you are, because this Raw, he said if you don't buy his shirt, you're cursed. I bought his shirt, so I'm not cursed. So I'm just saying.
You're such a fucking mark, bro. It's crazy. This guy, on God, I'm telling you, no word of a lie. He messages me once a week, maybe, and it's a picture of just another order from WWEshop.com. Who are you
I think
funding,
once
big
a
lad?
week is. I think once a week is strong. Do you know how I get on my money? I can tell you, I can let all the listeners know as well. Sponsorship. Our
Yeah.
sponsors are giving me all the money. And today's sponsor, second sponsor of the day. No, I don't have one. I don't do that. If I'm giving a sponsor my time, they are getting my full time and full energy.
The
Shout
real
out all the rods
sponsor
out
of
there.
today's show is right up here. StreamYard. They power us.
It's funny because it's the other way. Do it again
What
with
do you
your
mean?
other arm. Because it says
No.
powered by StreamYard. There we go. Point that way, and you're pointing at the thing that says powered by StreamYard. There we go.
What?
Look at that sponsor read.
But it's but it's there.
It's not there. It's the other one. I promise you.
Well, one of us is gonna get embarrassed when this comes out. I
Drop
don't
a
think it's
comment on
gonna be me
YouTube.
though.
Who was right, Adam or
Which one of us
Kyle?
looked like an idiot?
Both of us every time we record. But look, that's going to be all for today. Kyle, I know you've enjoyed this, right? And I appreciate all your time and support going into all these episodes. Do you want to leave our listeners and viewers with the the last thing today? Because normally it's me, and maybe it should be you today.
Don't listen to Adam. He's a bozo. You hate